Have you ever set a goal? And I hope the answer is absolutely, I've set a goal. Have you ever set a goal that you have not obtained the result of your goal? And I hope that's everybody, because I think for all of us, we have set goals that we have not attained or that we not achieved, that we have not gone the fruition of what we set for our goal. And sometimes, one of the hardest parts about doing goals is we set these goals and then we have to figure out what is it that we need to do in order to make that goal a reality. And sometimes we even put numbers together. So we'll say, okay, I need this, I'm in sales and I need to do this many sales. I got to do 10 sales this month to make $10,000 this month, so that at the end of the year, if I do that every single month, then I've made $120,000 this year. And so we set these goals. We set these goals for our health. If I can walk this far or run this far or go to the gym this many times, this is what I'm going to look like. That's what my physique's going to look like. That's what my weight's going to be. And we set these goals that we know or we want to obtain. The problem is that one of the things that we do as humans is we don't write in the discipline and what it's going to take to be able to do it. And so today, as we talk and as we go through, we're going to talk about, discipline, the missing part of goals, because it's great to set goals. And I think whether they're lofty goals or they're, sometimes they say put them at so where they're unattainable if you do what you're doing now. So you have to change what you're doing in order to be able to get it. But in the process, and this is what we talk about on the show, and so I want to welcome you to this is the class 6 of Dr. B's mindset series, and so this is class 6, and we're literally going to talk today. If I'm setting the stage, we're going to talk about discipline and what it means. Because if we're missing the discipline part, and like I was starting to say before, is becoming the person that you need to be so that you can do the thing that you want to do. That's what this show is all about, right? How do I become that person? Well, part of that is become a disciplined person. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean to be a disciplined person? I think I even wrote down, discipline is the ability to stick to a plan and make consistent efforts toward a goal. So if we're sticking to a plan, what is the discipline in that plan that's going to get me there? And I want to submit to you that there's a formula, and I've been hearing it around. I think Stephen Bartlett kind of said it in a way, but he used like big words that, I'm a doctor, and I was like, okay, friction of this. I'm like, what the heck is he talking about? And what I figured out in the formula is that we have to have a love for what we're doing, or a why. And the why has to be greater. So if we take the why, we're doing the thing that we're doing. And we take that why and we say, okay, with this why, then I'm going to add to it the enjoyment in the journey. Because the journey, and we'll talk about this here in a minute, but the journey is so important, because if you get tired or you get bored or you get distraught with the journey, then the why tends to shrink itself. And you have to have a big why if you have a big dream or if you have a big goal. The why has to be, this is going to happen to me. Well, the problem is we have to take the next part. So we add those two together. So we got the love and the love and the why. And then we add the love of the journey, or what we're doing on the journey. And then we minus, here we go here, right? We have to minus what we have to do to get there, or I guess he says the friction that has to go on, the day-to-day things that we have to do. We have to decide, is it worth it to be able to get through that portion of the why still being there, the love of the journey being there, and then this is what I actually have to do, and is if what I have to do enough? Is what I have to do, the things that come in, is it worth it? Even the part of, I would even say part of the friction is, do I feel like it? Because in all decisions that we make and all things that we're going to do, it literally comes down to where we feel like it or not. Then we add in some factors that we can't control, right? Controlling factors and not deciding factors. We have to add in some of those factors the contributing, controlling factors that we that aren't in our control, and how does that erode the love and the why in the journey? And so as we go through this formula and we start thinking about it, what are some of the things? So let's just start with an example like diet, right? That's probably the easiest one, or a substance that you put into your body like sugar. So we know that sugar is bad for us, but sugar has this addictive component to it, right? We love sugar. You give my right now, just if you promise her a sucker for anything, she wants to put that sugar in her mouth, and she's only 2.5 years old. And so, let's just say that that's what it is. It's what we know contributes, not as the leading fact, but contributes to diabetes. It contributes to, a glycose, levels going up and down, to us being tired. All these things that we know that sugar does. So we have the logic, but we don't make decisions based on logic. We make decisions based on emotion. So we say, okay, I'm going to set a goal. And my goal this week is, or this month, or this year, is that I am going to reduce sugar to nothing so that I can feel better, so that I can have more energy to do things, because I know it's bad for me. All the logical reasons why we do it. So that's our goal. Okay, so that's our why. We turn that into a why. The why I'm doing it is because this is what's going to make my body. And I love my body, and I want my body to function. And so that love and that why is in there. Now, the journey in this one might not be a big plus. So say that why is at a 7 out of 10. So we take that 7 and then we add the journey. Now, the journey, we love the journey? We love how we feel. So, we love that we accomplish that each time that we get it done. And so the journey seems to be, maybe that's a 5 or 6. It's maybe not as big in there. So we do that. We add that 7 and then we add that 12. Then we have what it's going to cost me. What it's going to cost me. What is that means I don't get to have ice cream. I love ice cream. I don't get to have candy. I love candy. I don't get to have cookies. I love cookies. So now the cost, we have to minus that. And so the cost is huge. Maybe the cost is a 10, right? It's going to cost me the enjoyment, the dopamine, right? So the dopamine is our receptor that says, I feel good right now. I love this. I love the way it tastes. I love the way it goes in my mouth. I love that the chef put whatever together. And so that dopamine, not the cortisol part that we do stuff that just gives us this sense of just, euphoria or whatever. It is the literal dopamine that hits our body. That's a chemical reaction that now we have to fight. So we have that 12, and we take a 10 out of it. Now our motivation is 2 in our formula. And is 2 a big enough motivation to be able to do it? Now we add in the discipline of what it's going to take. So I got to wake up in the morning and I have to look at a cereal box. I have to look at, donuts. I have to look at pancakes. I have to look at whatever it is that we have to look at. Without taking those things out of me seeing it, it just raises the cost even more. And so when we're thinking about our goals and we're writing in the things that we have to write in, that we have to put, what discipline is it going to take? And when I think about discipline, the discipline of, there's 2 types of disciplines. There's the discipline of not and the discipline of do, right? The discipline, I have the discipline to resist and not do the thing that I'm trying to do, or I have to have the discipline that says, this is where I'm going to, and this is how I'm going to get there. And this is all the really cool things that I get to do, not what I have to take out, but what I get to do. So in my example of sugar, and I think of, okay, what are the things that are not? So maybe I have to empty my house of all sugar so I'm not tempted. Put the car keys in a safe or something that I have to. So I'm not going to. What are the things I need to do? Well, I need to replace it with things that are healthy, that are good, that can give me maybe some of that same dopamine that will erase that 10 of me wanting to have it to a 5 or a 6. So, maybe I love broccoli, or maybe I love, and you say, how do I compare broccoli and a piece of cake? That's really tough to do, right? Unless you really start changing the chemicals in your body that love to receive, that send out those dopamine signals, that send that to your brain. So maybe I have to retrain my brain so I know this is going to be a 30-day cycle instead of a lifetime cycle, where my brain now starts believing that I don't crave those things. I've heard even hypnotizing, or people say I will hypnotize will be able to do it. So that would be adding something, right, instead of giving something away. And so when we start really thinking about our disciplines and we think about what is it that I have to write into my goal today? What do I write into my goal today to make sure that I have these disciplines put in place? And those are hard. Like when I started doing social media and I decided, hey, this is going to be a good thing for me. And we will add this to our formula, right? I said, I'm going to try, because I think if I start in social media and I start putting a post out there, that I'm going to get good at the person that I need to become, so that people will even want to hear what I have to say, right? And so I'm going to have to start out. And I know I think Steve Collins tells me all the time, anything worth doing, is worth doing badly at first, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to go 30 days. That's all I can take. And so what is the love? I don't know the love and the journey at this point, because I've never done it before. This is something I never experienced. So I don't know, can I get dopamine? Can I get cortisol? Can I get the happy stuff out of doing the activity? And then I say, okay, so I'm going to do a post. I'm going to do a 1 minute or 2 minute post every day for 30 days. And so I get to day one, because I know they're telling me if I create a habit, it makes it easier, but that's 21 days. So I started at day one. That's my goal. What is the discipline I have to do? Well, I have to schedule time, right? I have to schedule time that I'm going to do it no matter what. I have to make a decision that that's going to happen whether every single day, whether I go to bed or not. And that decision has to be set in stone. But I won't do it if it's not a big enough why. Why am I doing that? So if I'm doing social media because somebody else told me that I need to do it, because that's going to help me, is that enough? I have to totally believe in myself that I'm going to do it. I have to do it because it's something I want to do, because I think it's going to help me get better. Now I feel like doing it because I 100% believe that there's been enough, not just external and intrinsic value put on what it's going to give me in the end. If I believe all it's going to do is just make me happier, it's probably not enough, because people will do more for pain than they will for pleasure. So I have to weigh that cost, right? What if I don't do it? What's the cost? If I don't do social media, then does that mean, in my mind, do I have to work till the end of my life? Do I have to work, in my 70s and my 80s, because I haven't been able to create a income, because this is something I want to do? And I hear this from a lot of people all the time. In their cases, I'm going to start showing social media because somebody told me to. Well, what's the why? What's it going to do for you? I don't know. Well, I can tell you right there, if somebody tells you I don't know on that portion of it, I can promise you that it's not going to happen. It's not going to be a discipline that's going to be able to be made, because the why and the love of doing it isn't enough. So I decided, hey, what if I'm able to get monetized? Or what if I'm able to make money? Or what if I'm able, in my case, where I say my prayer every day, I said, dear Lord, give me the wisdom to do the things that you put me on this earth to do in a way that pleases you and serves others. So social media fits into that prayer, right? So that I can serve others through social media, because if I'm doing my individual coaching, and I can serve one person at a time. If I'm doing my group coaching, I can help a group of people at a time. If I can learn to teach a class online, then maybe I can serve thousands or hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of people that can watch a video like this and say, this person helped me, and so I'm serving others. That's a pretty big why, especially if I believe that my God has said, this is my purpose in life, right? That's a big why. Now the journey that I'm doing it. So now I'm saying my social media post, and I'm, and I'm terrible at it. And I'm like, hello, this is, and and I don't know how to speak, and I don't know what to say. And I'm trying to figure out, do I need to write it? But then there's a fun and enjoyment. And you guys ever done things you've never done before, that journey, that this is actually kind of cool. I'm able to get out my phone. I'm able to say stuff. Wow, I didn't know that I could talk like that. I didn't know that I had the ability to do that. And so, I start enjoying the journey. So I add that, my big, huge why, which is a 10, I get to serve others. I'm enjoying the journey after 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 20 days, 21 days, it becomes a habit because I'm disciplining myself to do it every day because I have decided. When you decide something, 30 days is happening. If you make it too big, then it's going to be too tough to do, right? So 30 days, I'm going to do it. Now I'm enjoying the journey. What's my cost? Well, my cost might be for some people, hey, I don't like the way I look on camera. Hey, I don't like the way that I sound when I hear myself. So I'm going to have to get over that cost. I really care about what others think of me. And what are they going to think of me when I try doing this? Oops. Well, that cost for some people could be so great, especially if the cost is so great. And then the why is, I don't really know why I'm doing it. Your discipline for doing it will never happen. And so you are just fooling yourself if you think you're going to start something and you're not going to have this formula as part of it. You're not going to have it as things you're doing. And I can remember when I was an athlete, and hey, I get to go to college. I get a scholarship. I get to do some really cool things as an athlete. I get to go overseas. What is my why? Well, my why wasn't because I wanted to be healthy. My why wasn't because I enjoyed just hanging out and running around the track and practicing all the time. The why is I get to win, right? The why is I get to pursue something that other people in the world can't do. I get to compete against other people. And then so all of a sudden the why becomes this thing. Well, I'm doing this so that I can win a national championship, or I can beat somebody a time that somebody and get a personal best, which means I'm better than I ever was before. And then so you start thinking about, okay, so I can do that. So now the journey, there's something to be said now, the journey that I'm working. And so this week we got 5 400s or something like that. And we're running around the track. That hurts. That's painful. That is not fun. But when you finish the workout, you got this sense of accomplishment that says, wait a minute, I did something towards attaining my goal. And that feels good. So now I have my why that I want to beat people. I have my journey that says, hey, this is actually, I know the workout's going to be hard. Now, what's the cost? Right? What's the cost? The cost is, wait, I got to spend 3 or 4 hours a day if I'm going to be good at this. I'm going to have to give up maybe some relationships to be good at this. I'm going to have to put my body through some things that my body has never done before if I'm going to be really good at this. Right? And we say that in athletics, and it's one thing to do it, and it's another thing to watch another person do it and try to be part of the goal. So like, this is the fun goal that I hate. Our goal this year is to win a Super Bowl. Okay. Our goal is to win a Super Bowl. Are you on the team? Or are you just watching the team? Because the people who are putting in the work and doing the disciplines that make it happen are the people. And so we get so mad and when the team didn't do what they're supposed to do. This person isn't doing what they're supposed to do. What is your discipline in that? You don't have any discipline in that. All you're doing is watching some other people live out their dreams and their goals, and they're having the disciplines to be able to do it. So when we think about becoming the person that you need to be in order to do the thing you need to do, you have to figure out and plug in some disciplines in order to be able to do that. So let's say you're in sales, right? And you have these goals of, I need to make this amount of money. What are the disciplines that you need to do? And is that why big enough? Well, I need to make $100,000 a year. Okay, why do you need to make $100,000 a year? And I can remember, when I was back in my multi-level days, they used to give a ring for $100,000. So if you made $100,000 in a year, and this is 20 some years ago, and so you think $1,000 obviously is worth more 20 years ago than it is today, but that was the big goal. Well, this is what I found out: people will do more for recognition than they'll ever do for themselves on the why. So the why was, and so that's why they put that carrot out there. They say, hey, you get your $100,000 ring when you make $100,000 in a 12-month period, and be able to do that. And so you start setting your goals and to be able to do that. And they might even give you the parameters of what to do, right? But if you don't set the disciplines, so what does that mean? Well, that means I have to have a discipline of making so many calls every single day. And I remember I used to put this little thing on my card that says, if I knew I could not fail, what action would I take right now? Well, that was a great statement. And I think it was something that helped me start going towards attaining the goal. But when I started thinking about it, what action would I take today? That's the action itself isn't a discipline. The action itself is asking me, oh, I got to find something I'm going to do today. Now, but if I already put the discipline together, like I'm going to make my 10 calls, then I can say, what action am I going to take today? I'm going to make my 10 calls. And if I knew I couldn't fail, I might even make 11 or 12. When we think about, Ed Milet's book, Just One More, and he was actually a person who would say it to me, this is what you got to do today, Brian. And it's a time, and we start thinking about, okay, I have to do certain amount of disciplines, and I have to figure out what those are. And here's what's so cool is there's somebody somewhere who's done it before you that can start sharing with you. These are some disciplines that you have to put together. Like, I talked about athletics. I talked about, what about it just going to work? This is a discipline you already have, right? People get up every morning, go to work, come home, get up every morning, go to work, come home, get up every morning, they get a paycheck. Why are you doing it? Let's put it into our formula. The discipline of getting up at 6:30 in the morning. My neighbor gets up every day. I'm out for my walk, and I'm on my walk, and I see him driving to work. And I think about, because I get the privilege of being able to work from home and be able to communicate and talk to people and make money by doing that. And think of the things that he's doing on it every single day. And why does he do it? He does it because it gives him a paycheck at the end of the week, right? That feeds his family at the end of the week. So the discipline of, if I don't go to work, then they fire me, that I don't eat. That's the cost in our formula, right? The first part of the formula, do I love to go to work? Maybe not. Maybe not, but I love what it gives me, right? I love I love that my family gets to enjoy food every single week. I love that, when I come home. Now, they might even enjoy the journey. Now, if it's a job you don't like, that's tough, right? If I'm going to work that I don't like, I'm doing a journey that I don't like, and the only thing that is motivating me is a little bit of money that I have, then I get stuck in a rut that doesn't serve me, that doesn't serve others, and then I'm miserable. And eventually, for a lot of people, it gets to the point where they can't take it that more, and they end up quitting, and they move because they can't even do the discipline of getting up every morning. There was a time when I was growing up when you would call in, and you were calling in, I guess they call it out right now, where you're saying, I'm going to be sick, and people saying, hey, I'm going to be sick, I'm not going to be able to do it. Now they don't even tell you they're sick. They just call you and say, I'm not coming in. Because whatever it is that they're doing, the discipline isn't there to say that I got to work to be able to achieve this, because they think that next job is just around the corner. That next job is just ready for them to be there. So what I really want you to think about throughout this class is the discipline that it's going to take to do the thing you want to do. And so we'll talk about this more in other lessons, but plug in that formula. Whenever you set a goal, whenever that goal is something that is, we can talk about setting goals, and there's all these like SWOT things, and this one on setting these goals that you can put together and ways to write them down and picture books and all this other kind of stuff. What I don't want you to forget is to add the discipline that's going to take. Then when you add the discipline that it's going to take to be able to do that, run it through that formula. Love Y plus love of the journey minus cost and what it's going to take. And I promise you, once you do that, you'll be more clear on the decisions that you make that will affect the goals that you do. So thank you for another, just being here. I hope that you hit the subscribe button. Again, my goal, there's something that I can't control, which is a contributing factor, is you subscribing. My goal is that 50% of the people that watch this, and this is something that I heard from somebody else, right? 50% of the people who watch this will actually subscribe, because I think it's great content, and I think it's going to help you to become the person you want to become, to do the things that you want to do. And until you get this discipline thing down, oh my gosh, it's going to be tough and tough and tough. All right, so you guys have an awesome, wonderful, just incredible day. Don't forget you are God's greatest gift, and he loves you if you allow him to. And we'll talk to you next week.